Good morning, family and friends. This is Rob, the Sapper gardener, representing Essayons Family Garden. And it's bright and early in the morning, about 5 o'clock. And I have a few clips that I'm going to show of some garden updates for early August. So hang tight and I will take you guys through. These are a bit of a random ramble, so bear with us. So our peanut crops this year are doing okay, but we had very poor germination, but the ones that did pop up are doing okay. So we're going to come back through one more time, plant some more, and see if we can get a couple of succession crops from our peanuts and a couple of our other new plants. We got to do a lot of weeding. The last few days, the last week or two, I was like my neighbor just decided to cut his grass. It's been rain, so we got partial sunshine yesterday and we got sunshine today. Enough for me to cut some of our yard, but some of the low-lying areas are still wet, but the plants are not complaining. Our persimmons are doing okay despite the Japanese beetle attack, and we think that we're going to have 2 healthy plants to transfer in the ground in the fall. And our other plants are doing okay. Everything is doing well. Our tangelo is looking healthy, but no fruit on it this year. And this is one of the largest pots that we have to put it in. And the tree is growing up, just no fruit. So hopefully we don't have issues with that, because we know we can't put this in ground in our grow zone. We're in zone 7A, but we'll give it a little time. We'll put it in the garage one more time, and hopefully we get fruit next year, because when we bought it, it actually had fruit on it. So we thought we might be in luck, but we'll see. And the rest of the garden is looking pretty good. So no complaints this year. It's not perfect, but we have enough we'll be able to eat out of our garden, which is the most important thing. And straw bale garden bed number 1 is a tale of 2 cities. We got one side that has tomatoes in it, and these were mostly starts. We had a few seeds that did okay, but we got some plant starts from Home Depot, and they are doing really well. But the other side was our pepper side, and they did great last year, but this year this side just did not do well at all. So sure, it's operator headspace and timing on this side, but it's a little disappointing. But we still have time to plant in here, and I've got to cut back this poison ivy again on the fence and figure out a more permanent way to keep that down. We don't use chemical pesticides over here, or herbicides. We use all down and a homemade vinegar spray, and it works. We just have to come back and do it a lot or pull it by hand, and that looks like what we'll be doing probably this weekend. And I use the same over on our wood pile over there when it's overgrown. I guess you guys can see me for a minute. So when we do our spray to get rid of our brush on the wood pile, which most of this wood is no longer any good. A lot of it's rotted. There's some pieces that are still okay for burning in the fire pit, but none of that will go in the house again. It's all fire pit, or we're using it for our hugel mounds as we build those up. But the herbicide that we buy all down, or that we make with vinegar and some dish soap and salt. It works great on flat leaf plants. It's not so great on grass, or I should say broadleaf plants. And it works over there, but you just have to stay on it every month. You've got to respray to keep vegetation from growing up that you might have missed, or seeds that settle. But yeah, we gotta tame that again, and that's just part of our story. We used to get frustrated by it, but now we just know if we let it get out of hand, we just got to put sweat equity in, and we got to come back, and we've got to, you know, redo it again. We got to pull weeds, we got to spray, we got to flame weed, we got to put down more lasagna mulch layers to get it done. And over here in our garage garden, hopefully you guys can hear me over the sound of the neighbors mowing. If not, I can always do a voiceover. We got some peas doing good over here, and these I believe are Purple Majesty, but if not, I'll put down below what they actually are. I don't see a tag in there. So this is something Mrs. SG planted, where we had some spent potato soil from last year. And we got some corn over here, but I don't know how well this is gonna germinate. We got plenty of tassels. We got this out late, so we'll see how this does also, along with our sunflowers. And I haven't done a lot of updates from the garage garden, just because the weeds are I guess that says it all. But we planted some more corn over here late. This is a golden bantam, and it's doing okay. We didn't hand pollinate this, but we may, since we still have plenty of time. We still got a few more months of warm weather here. But this is also where we got our main tomato crops, and they are doing wonderful. I'll show you guys a shot from today's harvest. So some of our harvest, a bunch of Roma tomatoes. Some we'll let finish ripening inside. A bunch of shishito peppers. We probably way overdid it on the shishitos, but they're very prolific. So and Tomato Alley. Yeah, we're expecting to get probably maybe 100 pounds of tomatoes this year, and we have a mix. We plant both determinate and indeterminate, and our favorite determinate is the Roma tomatoes, and we've got probably a third of these are Roma, the rest are indeterminate. We've got some cherry tomatoes here. We've got some beefsteak tomatoes, some mortgage lifters, some money makers. So we think we'll be covered for all our tomato needs this year, between sauces and sliced tomatoes, relishes. I think Mrs. SG will have that pretty well handled. So I got to do some more grass cutting. I'll spare you guys that this time. I hate to even show the coop, since our last chickens were killed. We haven't done much with the coop as far as reclaiming it, but this will actually, oh, hummingbird. Oh, sorry, you didn't see the hummingbird and I got distracted. So our coop, we won't worry about anything that we have growing over here. Everything on the coop, except for our hops, will get pulled and sprayed down with herbicide. Our hops, we're actually, in the fall, this will start to die back, but we'll cut our hops off before our first freeze, and we'll dig out what we can of the roots, and we're going to transfer that. We're actually going to put some cattle panel trellises. Actually, we're going to put these cattle panels, when we tear this down, we're going to move those over into the micro orchard 2 area, and we're going to transfer our hops over there, and hopefully they'll do as well over there as they've done here at the chicken coop. But we're going to clear all our vegetation off of the chicken coop and our compost piles and restart. So once this is sprayed and torn down, which I'll probably start tearing it down, some of it before then, yeah, none of this will go to waste. Our cattle panels will get reused, our chicken wire will get reused, any wood that we can reclaim will also get used. So we'll make it happen. So let's walk over to micro orchard 1. And speaking of hops, I'm hopeful this year to get enough to do at least a small batch of home brew. A lot of these are getting to almost the size where we know they're filling out. It'll get firmer to the touch, and we'll be able to cut these vines off, dry them, and store the hops to hopefully do some home brew. I don't know how many pounds we'll get off of these vines, and I want to say we have 6 vines over here total. But yeah, we'll harvest these, and if I have enough to make beer, I'll take you guys along. This will be my first time making it from hops that we grew ourselves. All our other beer has been made from store-bought products, but this will be fun. So the micro orchard did okay. Micro orchard 1, we still got a few apples we'll be able to get off, and Japanese beetles definitely did their share of damage. But we didn't expect too many apples. I actually thought that we might get fruit drop over here, but any apples that are left that are edible we'll get. Obviously not enough to make an apple cider, but enough for us to do something. Maybe we'll do an apple pie or figure something out. Our nut trees are still doing well. I have to try to remember which ones have pecans on them. So we still have some pecans on the tree, but I'm wondering if any of our squirrels have gotten to some of the nuts, because these are almost full size. We got a couple up here. So I'll double check the other trees, because we did have more than this on most of them, but again, this is an early year, so we may or may not get a lot of nuts, but at least we know we're doing the right thing, and they're starting to get to the point where we can expect more. So we do have some nuts up there. Hopefully you guys can see them. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit better. And hopefully you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Yep, so we got a few nuts up there, and there's probably more hiding on the tree than I'm seeing right now. Probably more on all the trees than I'm seeing right now, because I'm shaded out a little bit more. But we're hopeful that all the trees eventually will be fruitful producers. And our apple trees, yeah, decimated by the Japanese beetles, but other than that, they're growing and healthy. They'll get another aggressive pruning this fall, and I'm really hopeful that next year this one, which was the most damaged, will give us some fruit, because I've talked to our friend Woody over at Cumbrian Homestead, and I'm in the mood to start making my own cider. We got enough pears to make a small batch of cider, but I'd like to make some apple cider. This one only had a few fruit this year, which haven't dropped yet, but we're trying our best to keep it maintained. And we got more fruit up there. If you can see, these may just be for eating this year, but we're in the right direction. This one needs a heck of a prune this coming fall, and I'm gonna have to put some weight on this one because this one is really reaching for the sun, and we don't want them all. We don't want any 12-6 branches. We want them all to come down a little bit, so we'll put some weight on the ones that we don't prune off, so that when we do get apples, we don't have to get a ladder, because these are all dwarf trees, so we shouldn't have to do a lot of ladder climbing to harvest from these. And our efforts at adding in our hugel mounds is going slowly but surely. We still have to mound up dirt in this area, but we did get this one done. And we planted seeds. We've only got dill poking up right now, and it looks like some of our efforts to keep the bunnies out here may be working, because it looks like they've nibbled on some of the dill. But we'll see this again with, we may do buckwheat back here just to get it started, and we've started adding soil. So we want this hugel mound to go from tree to tree, so that'll be one less area I have to come back to cut with a lawnmower. And this area, we put some old pallets. We've got a couple of, well, not a couple, we've got several dead animals buried back here, so we've covered it with pallets. We've started adding some garden soil, and then we'll add some wood. We've got actually more wood over under our kiwi plants, and we may actually just take some from the wood pile or from our big wood pile, and we'll stack it on top of these, and then we'll finish covering it up with a garden soil next time we get a load of cheap garden soil in. And speaking of other plants, this blueberry tree, even with the Japanese beetle damage, is growing great. It is inside a ring, but this one has no bottom. Our apple tree over there has no bottom. Our kiwi plants, they're in containers, but they don't have a bottom, so they are growing down into the soil, and we just expect them to do better and better every year. Kiwi plants are doing good despite some obvious damage from the Japanese beetles. I still feel optimistic that our efforts to mitigate the Japanese beetles are working, but it's always hard when you look and you see this kind of damage on your plants, but we think it's working. Our blueberry trees gave us plenty of blueberries this year, so we've got 1, 2 blueberries here. We've got this cherry tree. We got our kiwi here. We got blueberry plants over here, which we hope will do better now that we've cut back on the weeds drastically. We got figs there. I got a fig tree here I almost forgot about. And figs are doing okay. And actually, the same area, we'll still do a hugel mound here, but this area will transplant some of our other gifted fig tree plants out here. And I'm thinking we could probably fit at least 6 here. We've got some more mature fig plants in pots that'll go out here. Some we'll keep in pots on our patio in the warm months and in our garage on the cold months. But eventually this will all get mounded up, like the area between the apple trees. I'll have a little path to run the lawn tractor through. I'll have this path to run the lawn tractor through, but the rest will be mounded up. And eventually, this area here, we'll put some mini mounds. We still want to be able to walk in to get to our kiwi and other plants, but yep. And we'll keep this water flowing through, but we hope that that will help us to conserve water use for the other plants. And this this kiwi plant gave us a lot of fruit. Hopefully next year it gives us even more fruit. There's actually a few small ones still on there that Mrs. SG hasn't harvested, but yep, we're happy with what we're getting from our micro orchard one. A lot of work to do, but we'll get there. And it's funny, this cherry, I'll have to cut that part out. It's funny, this cherry tree, which was very badly damaged, got the least amount of Japanese beetle damage on it. So we'll still wait to see how it comes back next year, but I just thought that was really odd. And one of the things that I never got around to this year, and I guess it's still not too late, our 2 edge beds still need to be, well, they need to be weeded and cleared again, topped off, so that we can start planting in here. And this may actually turn into a perennial bed. We may put some figs in here, or some other perennial plants that we have ready to go into the ground this year. And we'll see how this goes. And we got our rain barrels back here. So we've got several rain barrels on the property, and we got more ready to be added on once I put the taps in them, the spigots, and I build some bases so that they're raised up. Before we used a concrete cinder blocks to build the base like this one, but next time we'll build our base with 4x4s. Whatever we have left over when we rebuild our chicken coop, we'll use to make bases for the rain barrels. So real quick updates on the garden. Lots more of the show, but yeah, this video is long enough already. So we'll get more updates out more regularly. We got a couple of planned videos. We've been invited into a couple of collaborations, and I'll do my best to try to keep those garden related as much as possible, even though neither one is specifically garden related, but garden as part of what's in our name of our channel, and what our mission is to hopefully get other people motivated to grow their own food, to, you know, just to be as self-sustaining as possible. So on behalf of the family here at Essayons Family Garden, this is Rob the Sapper Gardener, saying God bless our great country America. You, wherever you reside around the world, your garden, your harvest, your kitchen, your meals. And of course the wind picks up now. And God bless your family. Have health, success, and prosperity, especially in these troubled times. Take care. Sapper out.